And we are live! It's me, Gazbot, here for the 168th, the weekly art check-in with Mr. Mike Emmerich. Say hello to the fine people, Mr. Mike Emmerich.
Hello, everybody. How are you today?
They can't, well, I guess if they're in the chat, they can answer.
Yeah.
So this is the weekly show where we get together and we keep each other accountable and keep each other up to date on the art things we have pledged to do. Did we get them done? If so, great. If not, why not? And what are we going to do next week? That is the premise, which was started by Josh Kemble and Corey, forget his last name, who do theirs. They do theirs every 48 hours, though. We were not that intense, so we did ours once a week, and we still have not been doing a great job at that because of life. So let's get into it. And Mike, what did you say you were going to do last week? And did you do it?
I said I was going to finish my thumbnails for Sisyphean Complex. That is
Did
what
you
I
do it?
said I was going to do. No, I
Okay.
I barely got anything done at all. Should I say why? Is that
well, first,
are we there yet?
did you get anything done?
No, I got jackedly squat done.
You didn't write. You didn't nothing.
Nothing.
Okay, well then we'll come into your hardships next. I
Sure.
guess we'll come back to me. What I said I was going to get done was I believe an hour on the horror A4,
Yep.
finish up the roughs for my White Ranger print, and do a video for G-Fest, which I had done a week or two ago. Did I get that stuff done? Not really, but I got more than nothing done. Here's what I did. Actually, in terms of the horror A4, actually, I'm going to do a little screen share here real quick. Yeah. Well, before I get into what I did and didn't do, part of the reason why I didn't get a lot done, you see that picture of Comic-Con there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I went to Comic-Con. I had been at G-Fest, got back from Chicago. I was home for one day, and then I went to Comic-Con. So I wasn't working Comic-Con, but I was there to support my friend Mike Dawson, who was up for an Eisner Award. Unfortunately, he didn't win, but it was still a really fun time. And so I'll just go through a couple pictures here. This was an awesome cosplay I saw of a Sentinel. What's really good, though, is if you look closely, on his left shoulder is Iceman, on his right shoulder is Archangel, there's Beast, and on his feet. So he had little figures crawling all over him. Yeah, that made it. It was already awesome when I saw that. That really made it. I saw this awesome cosplay of the movie Turtles. This is all stuff I was doing instead of working on my art, of course. This was something they had outside. They have a lot of offsite stuff. And for scale, if you look, there's a woman, and it was promoting Dell computers, but it was also promoting Ant-Man. So the idea is you get up there and try to play this Zelda-like game on this huge computer as though you're Ant-Man. Wow. There's just me looking at endoskeleton. There was so much stuff. I just threw a couple pictures up here to go through. I don't want to get too hung up on this. I may or may not do a video of it again, although I've done a few Comic-Con videos, and while I always have a good time, I feel like the videos start to become the same. Like, here's a bunch of awesome stuff I saw, and some artists I talked to, and so I saw a lot of stuff. That's my buddy Mike, who is up for the Eisner. And I did go to a couple art panels, and this was weird. I don't know what this woman was.
What?
She was like a shark. I guess her body was maybe water. I don't know. But then there was a guy who was, I think, Black Goku, who was like filming her. They weren't together, but it's just, I love pictures of cosplayers doing not cosplay stuff. Like, so him being a photographer, like that, Goku wouldn't do that. Yeah. Goku would do that.
There you go. Yeah, that's Goku.
This was the Adam Hughes panel. I always make a point of going to a couple panels, specifically art panels. Adam Hughes and his wife, Allison Sloan, I think is her last name. I don't know how to pronounce it, were there, and I had seen this was primarily a demonstration of Copic markers, and it's great. And I had seen something similar by him a few years ago, which is what got me to start using Copic markers, because I always like grayscale, and I was like, oh man, this is a way I could do it. And I do use Copic markers, but when I see him or someone who really knows what they're doing, I always feel like, well, they're doing something better. So I went and saw essentially the same panel, like, I don't know, 4 years, 5 years later, and I was able to absorb more information. It's almost like, here's 100% of the information. The first time I got 10%. This time maybe I got 30%, but I came home with a lot of ideas of what to do, and it was a really good panel. This is me at the Eisners. Can't really see much, but it was very much like the Oscars. I had to dress up and wear a tie, and they announced people. It was 3 hours long, and they had celebrity presenters. There's Nichelle Nichols and Phil Lamar, and they had a bunch of other celebrities, which I did not expect. I had heard that they might have, some like comic industry celebrities, which I expected, like famous artists and writers stuff. But they had straight up anybody would know who Nichelle Nichols is from Star Trek, or anybody that's a nerd anyway. So this is more cosplay out of context, just just a TIE fighter pilot waiting online at the diner. I one day one show I want to go and do nothing but take this kind of pictures. They're my favorite. They're my absolute favorite. That's Doug Jones, who I ran into on the show floor.
Whoa.
He, for those that don't know, he's primarily known as a suit actor, although he's done some face acting. He's Abe Sapien in Hellboy, and he was in The Shape of Water, and he plays Suru in the new Star Trek. And I was like, I think that's him. And I took this picture thinking it was him, but I wasn't 100% sure. And as I got closer, he was taking a picture with someone, and I asked the woman, I'm like, is that Doug Jones? And she's like, yes. And as I said it, he turned around, and I was like, I don't know if I want to bother him. He's like, hello. I'm like, oh, hi. He's like, I'm like, oh, you're Doug Jones. He's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, I love you in Star Trek. And he's like, thank you. And he gave me this huge hug out of nowhere, like complete. And he's tall. Like I'm like 5'10", but he was, 6 something. And he's, you can see he's very thin and like kind of dancerly. And so he was super friendly and excited, not like the average, oh, hey, how you doing? I'm being polite. Like, and he gave me this crazy hug, and I'm not a hugger. I'm not a big touchy feely kind of guy, but other than like my wife and my mom, it was tied for the best hug I ever got. It was so good. And I'll tell you, you want to know who he's tied with? Sergio Aragonés, creator of Guru and Mad Men. Yeah, I met him a few years ago, and it was a similar thing where I was like, hey, how you doing, buddy? I love your art. Give me a handshake. And he's the opposite, where he's about my height. He's not very tall, maybe even a little shorter, Sergio, I mean, but he's very wide. He's like a big bear of a man, but a cuddly bear. And so I was like, hey, blah, blah, blah. Nice to see you, fellow artist, da, da, da. And then he's like, give me a hug. And he hugged me. And they were the exact opposite kind of hugs. One was a big bear hug, and one was like, a dancer hug. And they were both amazing and both unexpected. And this is from a guy who doesn't like hugs. So if you see either of these gentlemen and they offer you a hug, you take it.
Make a point to hug these people.
Yes. But yeah, very nice guy. Talked to him a little bit and then left him alone. I thought about getting a picture with him, but honestly, after he hugged me, it kind of scrambled my brains and I just walked away. They had a Star Trek Discovery exhibit, which was pretty cool off-site. A Ghostbusters thing. I don't know what the Ghostbusters thing was even promoting, but they had the Ecto One and a bunch of other stuff. They had the Pepsi challenge, which they had in the 80s that I had watched on TV as a kid. And I'm like, I'm taking it. So I waited online and I took it, and I'm a Coke guy, but I picked Pepsi. So they got their soundbite, and then they actually interviewed me and filmed me. I don't know if it's going to go in a commercial or not, because they probably filmed like 1,000 people. But if you one day see me in a Pepsi commercial, this is why, because I did sign a thing to get a free t-shirt. I'm like, yeah, I want a free t-shirt. Here's the rights to my likeness. There was a lot of toy news. This was the biggest news for Marvel collectors. This is a wave coming out next year. And I'm not going to bog it down because I know this isn't about toys, but like Archangel and Gambit and Magic are all figures that haven't, they're great figures, but also they haven't been released in like 10 years, and the old ones go for like $100 each. So everybody's losing their mind over those. And the Deadpool on a scooter and a Professor X from the 90s that we never got. So that was pretty cool. That's me sitting at the Star Wars cockpit of the Millennium Falcon, but it's made to look like the vintage toy. Like if you can see the blue, it has huge stickers and stuff. So that was kind of cool. Nice. Transformers is re-releasing a lot of old molds. If you see that hot rod on the left, it's actually the old version, but re-released. And there's a Lego version of the new Doctor Who. And this is a diner called the Corvette Diner that I love to eat when I'm in San Diego. Oh, I thought I was done. That's just some me with some cosplay. Oh, this is going to cost me some money. I don't buy sideshow toys. They're statues. They're super expensive. Hey, Corey, and James as well. But this is from the animated 80s Dungeons and Dragons, which they never had proper toys of in America. They never really had anything. And I love it. And I just was rewatching it a few days ago. So when I saw this, I'm like, I don't know what this is going to cost, but I better start saving because I want every one of these figures. I want, and they're not figures, they're statues, but you know what I'm saying. And then I ran into the new Power Rangers team that are Beast Morphers. In Japan, they were called Go Busters. And that was a weird thing where they skipped a couple seasons. Usually it's like we get Power Rangers. I'm getting too deep. Doesn't matter. And this is Blade Runner 2049. This was the model, either the model or a exact replica of the model they used for one of the buildings, which I thought was cool since everything's all CGI now. Yeah. This was more like enhanced models making, which makes sense because that movie was so immersive and great. It does not surprise me that they were using multimedia like that. And here's a pretty good old William Shatner as Captain Kirk, who turned out to be kind of a pedantic jerk later because I took this picture with him. It was at the Star Trek Museum, and the woman was like, "Oh, I'll take it for you guys." And she goes, "Okay, 1, 2, 3," and she took it, or 1, 2, 3, go, or whatever she said. I don't remember. And I start walking away and hear him go, "Miss," and he even kind of sounds like Shatner, like with his arrogance, you know. And he's like, "Miss, you might not know this, but something to consider is, when you're about to take off and launch, you go three, two, one, launch, not 1, 2, 3, go, or 1, 2, 3 and go on three. And she's saying all this stuff, and she's like, oh, I don't, and she's in her, what she's saying is, I just work here. I was doing you a favor. Shut up. But she can't say that. So she's like, oh, okay. Okay. And he keeps telling her and telling her. So I was nearby, and I'm like, in her defense, I didn't think we were launching anywhere. I thought we were staying right here on Earth. So why would she do a launch code? And he's like, do you see my uniform? I think I would know. And I'm like, oh, guess that's why you're there. And I tried to kind of pull him away from her and get him onto me. But I couldn't, because as soon as I stopped talking, he went right back to her, and he's like, because you see the reason. And I kind of just gave her a look like, sorry, I tried. This was a Walking Dead thing. I haven't been keeping up on Walking Dead, but they were like putting people in if you look, there's hands. So people were getting in a grinder and getting turned into hamburger. It was kind of gross. And that's Shenron. That's huge. That's like, if you see the exit sign, that's very huge in the ceiling. If it fell, it would have killed some people, but it was very
cool.
Right? And there's me and Chewie, and always awesome cosplay. Nice. Isn't that cool? Like a halfway done Mystique. And here's Darkman, which I can't believe anybody was Darkman, but I was, yeah. Oh, and then we get into work. Okay, so that is why I didn't get much work done. And okay, what I did get done, however, was I did work on my comic. I said I would do an hour. I did an hour and a half. So I did exceed, although it's not going to look like an hour and a half. He was an idiot, Corey, unless you mean me. And I was an idiot. We're all idiots.
But I was a freaking idiot.
I try to be a nice idiot. This is all I got done. And basically what you're seeing is the second panel, I kind of got to the pencil, quote unquote, stage, but I also like sized everything down a little bit and shifted everything around. And it took way longer than it should, but that's about an hour and a half to get from there to there, which anyone knows how slowly my comics come out. There's why. An hour and a half to take it from a rough panel to a rough penciled panel. But the other thing is, I was supposed to do finish the roughs for a White Ranger print, which I did not do. Why did I not do that? I'll show you what I did do. Am I sharing this video? No. Wait.
Nope.
No. Okay, hold on a sec. Sorry about that. Let me switch.
There it is.
Oh, you see it? Okay, good.
Yep.
So this is me working on Megaforce Pink from Power Rangers. I did 3 headshot roughs. So the reason I was doing the White Ranger is because I thought my next convention was going to be Power Morphicon in Anaheim, but it's not. I have a local show this weekend, which is going to have 3 Power Ranger actors at it, none of which are the White Ranger. So I was like, well, the whole point of getting the White Ranger done was for the next show, but the next show I'm doing will have these 3 actors. So instead of finishing that, I did the roughs for these 3 characters. So I changed what I was supposed to do, but I think it made more sense, and it was just as much work that I would have got done. So there's Megaforce Pink, Megaforce Yellow, and a villain named Brancic from Time Force, who I'm drawing here, who's actually played by Vernon Wells, who people who aren't into Power Rangers would know him from the Road Warrior. He was the Mohawk guy,
really?
like one of the main bad guys. Yeah,
nice.
but this is not that character. This is his Power Rangers character, obviously. So, sure. I exceeded expectations on the comic in terms of time. I changed what I was doing for my print load, although I feel like I succeeded, just not in what I said I was going to do. The other thing I said I was going to do was put up my Godzilla G-Fest convention one, and I didn't do that at all. I didn't even start it. And part of the reason was because last week I was supposed to put up my new setup video, and I was like, well, I have that done. I had edited it on the plane, and I just got to put it up. That video got lost, corrupted. I don't know what happened to it. The edited video that I put on the iCloud disappeared. I still have like the outline of the video I edited on my phone, but those files aren't on there anymore. So it's like files not found. So I basically have to redo that whole thing. So I didn't accomplish my new video goal. I didn't even accomplish my video goal from last week. So that's my big failure. But I decided that getting artwork done was more important than getting videos done. And that was a judgment call there. Let me close this one.
Their Rancic turned out awesome, dude.
Thank you. Yeah, he's fun because most of the other ones are just helmets. So actually being able to get an expression. This was the other one I did. Actually be able to get an expression based on a specific actor. Apparently there's no video for that one. Well, anyway, that's the other one. So let me stop. So a bit of a failure in what I wanted to do, but I did do something. And I guess I kind of explained my hardships along the way in terms of the show and lack of sleep and just time and changing priorities and the fact that my video thing got corrupted. So that is
Yeah.
what I was going to do. That is what I did, and my hardships along the way. So I kind of stepped on you. Why don't you tell us what, like I stepped on you like a little bug. Why don't you tell us what your hardships were, why you were not able to get anything done at all? That seems extreme. What did you break your hand?
Yeah, yeah, wouldn't you know?
Oh,
Yeah, I'm kind of like what is it? What's the phrase? Broken drum or something like that. Same
oh,
seems like it's the same thing over and over again.
oh,
Um,
broken record, you mean?
broken record, yeah, broken drum. What? A broken drum machine just keeps playing the same beat. Yeah, so my hand is still jacked up, pretty much. This was a problem that happened. God, it was almost a month ago now. It's like a few weeks ago, right after I did the. Well, I just started working on that weapon concept, and
Mhm.
to kind of refresh, like it was literally out of the blue. I was just working, everything was fine. All of a sudden, my knuckle just got super tense and hurt really bad, and I could not move my hand the way that I normally would move it anymore. And went to the doctor and all that, and lasted like a couple weeks. It started getting better. Hence, I was committing to more drawing stuff again, or at least
Sure.
trying to kind of rehab. Um, and then since then, it's been going back in reverse. Actually, since before the last time that I saw you, when you were visiting for G Fest, it was already
Right.
starting to get worse at that point. But it hasn't. That hasn't changed. It's been on a steady decline since then. And I got some other problems on this whole side of my body, my shoulder, my back, my neck, all of that, and it's just kind of all acting up lately. I don't know if it's connected or what. But I don't want to get into all of this. Whatever. The point is, I got some kind of weird injury going on, and I think it's a little bit worse than I wanted to think that it was before. And so
Right.
I pushed it, and I tried to do stuff that maybe I shouldn't have. So well, we did our show on Wednesday. So Wednesday was an early day for me. Mel came home right after that. That's why Gaz is going, Mel, 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 Mel. So that was that. But then Thursday, Friday, I mean, dude, it sucked. Like I can't even hold a pencil the way that I normally would without just I can't even describe how it feels, but it's not right. I get
Right.
maybe 5 minutes tops into trying to do something before it's just either so painful or so weird and uncomfortable that I just have to stop. So I just let it go for the whole weekend. I'm like, all right, fine. I'll just keep it on ice and rest it up. And then hopefully I could at least, procrastinate and do things last minute before we got the show on Tuesday.
Right.
And it's no better. It's not getting any better. So I made an appointment with the doctor, saw him on Monday. He told me it's probably tendonitis. And really didn't offer me any other solutions except to refill my prescription, tell me not to do anything again for about 2 weeks.
Right.
And so some other artist friends of ours had gotten in touch with me before and suggested I go see a chiropractor. So that's what I'm going to do. I got an appointment tomorrow, and I'm going to see what she has to say. If she could do anything, maybe it's a matter of resetting the joint or something. Maybe she'll
Mm.
pop my finger or something, and it'll be fine.
I
But
imagine it's like a scene in a movie where like it's dislocated. Hold on, and she like puts her knee.
yeah,
Ready? And you're like, ah! Oh, it's fine
yeah,
now.
or like some Mel Gibson shit. I'll just slam my shoulder against the wall or something. But a lot of this is kind of like long time coming sort of stuff. Just I think injuries from just doing art for so long and probably not with the right posture or whatever.
Well, I think also you did a lot of stagecraft, which is a lot more physically demanding
That
sort of
too.
art too, I
Yeah.
think.
And it actually has been since those days. I've had a lot more problems in different areas of my body, especially my arm, because I used to have to use a lot of impact drivers, which is like a drill that basically hammers back and forth. And I used one of those like all day, every day for a few years, and since then I've had a lot of trouble with my arm.
Right.
Um, but so it is what it is. I'm gonna go and actually get some medical help and check it out and see what she has to say. If there's anything that can be done, probably gonna have to do some follow-ups and all that. And it just
Right.
means I got to take some time off from art, which really sucks. It's killing me. It's giving me a lot more time to be in my own head, which is a place I don't like to be. So
Right.
I'm not happy about it at all, but it is what it is. And
Yeah.
so, you know, it's kind of where I'm at right now.
Well, that's a big bag of suck with a side
Yeah.
order of poo-poo stupids.
Yeah.
I don't like hearing that, and I feel like I said, it sucks for the art thing, but also just in general, health-wise. Like, not that you're a young pup, but you're too young to be having this many issues. I feel
Yeah.
like it's kind
Yeah.
of premature aging. So hopefully, it
I
is an
agree.
injury and not like, oh, you're old now. It's like, okay, maybe you could actually get it fixed.
Yeah. Seriously. That's what I'm hoping. Because it's
uh,
weird, man. Like it cramps up so bad that like I gotta have my hand in all kinds of weird gestures and postures just to even like get relief, and that's weird. That's not right. Like I
right?
shouldn't have
Yeah.
to. It's yeah, but
No. Well,
so
so that all that being said, uh, what if you were to have goals for next week? What would they even be? Writing or anything?
yeah. I mean, at this point, I mean, I'm not even supposed to be typing according
Mm,
to the doctor, but
gotcha.
I'm going out of my mind. Like I gotta
Dictation,
do
maybe.
something. Maybe.
Remember to write a story about several things.
Yeah, which I do
Well,
dictation a lot actually, and I'm
right,
trying to stop doing that because I do that and then it takes me longer to transcribe it all.
right,
But yeah, if I were to have goals, it would be to try to find something that I can do at this point. Like how can I take this time to be productive and not just
right.
sit on my ass and not do anything? Uh,
Maybe study, like literally reading books or watching videos, but not
yeah,
putting it into practice, but just
yeah,
like trying to absorb.
just keep
Um,
my mind on it. Reading comics.
Something. Yeah, sorry. Corey says, Mike, have you tried a gyroscope ball or a body blade?
I don't know what either of those are,
I
but
I used
I'll
to
check them out.
I used to have a gyroscope ball. I don't know what happened to
Yeah.
because I had pretty bad carpal tunnel a few years back that seems to have gone away. I mean, I'm
Huh.
sure I still have it a little bit, but it was because I was working at an animation studio and the hours were just crazy and whatever. But it was like it looks like a plastic ball, and I there's probably different ones, but mine you like pulled a string and
Hmm.
it had like a ring around it and go like "Voo," and then you'd move it like
Ah,
this and you could feel the gravity, and that
yeah,
did kind of help. Corey's saying they've helped him a lot, the two of those things. So
I'll
maybe
check it
he'll give
out.
it some. Yeah.
Right
Um,
now, like the issue is there's so much tension that I can't really bend it that well either. So even holding on to stuff is kind of difficult for me right now.
right.
But I'll check it out. That sounds like at least somewhat therapeutic, maybe.
Corey giving more advice about a video in the chat you could check later.
Yeah.
This kind of brings us to our next point. Well, I should talk about what I might do next week too, but before we even get that far, because of your hand injury and the fact that I can't seem to stop traveling and having shows every single week, we've been doing this.
You're just
Uh,
having too much fun, guys.
well, I mean, there is fun mixed in there, but there's certainly a lot of no sleep and work as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
uh we were saying how we feel like the show isn't really working for us the way it's supposed to, and we were going to take a hiatus. Is that correct, Mr. Mike?
Yeah, that's about right. A
uh
reluctant hiatus,
yeah,
but a
we
hiatus nonetheless.
we enjoy the format. We enjoy chatting and keeping ourselves accountable. But we both feel like every week we're like, well, I normally want to do this, but I'm going to be flying to two places and have no sleep. And Mike's like, my hand's broken, and I have a friend in from out of town, and like, so that's been what's been going on every week. And so rather than keep limping along, we're going to take an indefinite hiatus, let him heal up his hand. I have more shows and things coming up the next couple of weeks. So I was also similarly going to be like, I don't have a lot of time, guys. So we're not quitting art. We're not quitting
No
videos.
way.
Both of us will still be putting up videos on our channel from time to time. We're both going to keep working on our projects. But this particular weekly check-in format, we're going to put on pause. The goal is to come back to it eventually when my life settles down and his hand heals up. But who knows when that will be. So we do recommend that you watch Josh and Corey's show, who started it. They do the 48-hour art challenge. Is it challenge or check-in? Check-in, I think.
I think it's a 48-hour art check.
We'll put the links down below, and then Marsh and Chris are doing one. Theirs is called Art School.
Uh,
Anyway,
comic Comics Club,
comic
Comics
we'll put the link to
School.
that one down below. But if you want your weekly and or every 2 day check-ins, there are other options, and supposedly Jan and Ox might be starting one as well, so you'll have other options
Heard a
other
rumor.
than us. Yeah, there's rumors, but we'll both still be around on the internet, on YouTube, and drawing when we can. But hey, Peter Palmiotti checking in. I did not see your brother at
Hey,
Comic-Con, but I did see pictures of him with two cosplayer ladies that looked very happy, let's say. But so yeah, the bummer is that we're going to kind of take a break for those reasons. But like as Mike said, he's going to try to figure out ways to keep working, maybe study, whatever. I'm going to be trying to get those 3 headshots done by this weekend, and then working on my comic as well, of course. But we will not be following up next week nor the week after with what we've done. It'll be more like this is the end of. Let's think of it like this: this is the end of season 1. Hopefully,
Yeah,
there'll be
there
a
we go.
season 2.
We're going on a little break. We're gonna do some writing, maybe introduce some new
Yep.
characters, a plot
There,
twist.
there you go. Now we're thinking. Um, and for me, part of the reason this is going to be another week where I won't get a lot done is I'm having a friend in from out of town, and then this Saturday, let me do another screen share. I'm going to be doing a show here in California. It's just a 1-day show, Powerhouse Comic Con in Pleasanton, California, Alameda
Cool.
Fairgrounds. So I'm going to need to get ready for that because I have a lot of my stuff all packed up still from G Fest and everything. So I got to restructure all that. And as I said, because of the guests they're having, they have a lot of aliens, peoples, and stuff. But there's Vernon Wells. That's his Road Warrior persona. I'm going to be doing his
Mhm.
Power Rangers persona, and then there are the 2 Power Ranger ladies that are going to be there. So that's what I'm doing Saturday on top of all my other stuff. Plus, I have a client job I have to do, which I didn't mention. But yeah, so next week would have been a similar like I tried to get stuff done, but
Yeah.
So that is the unfortunate conclusion to this season. And with that, it's probably going to be a short episode because most of what we'll be talking about now is what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. But we've
True.
kind of come to the end. I would say I see a couple people in chat. If anybody has any questions, comments, concerns they want to ask, voice, air, now would be the time. Not that you can't
And
contact us elsewhere other times,
nope.
but if you want a direct
Cut off.
live, oh,
Yep.
that's it.
Cut
Okay.
off.
Well, Mike won't be answering questions ever again. I might be reachable, but anybody that wants an immediate answer, live and or on video, shoot about now. And while they are thinking if there's anything they want to say or ask, is there anything you want us to know about your like any upcoming videos you're doing? I know you were doing that video series about
Oh yeah,
the printers and
the
stuff.
printers. I'm still
Yeah,
going to continue to do that 'cause luckily I don't really need much use of my hand to do that.
that's good.
It's mostly the fine motor skills and holding on to things that gives me the most trouble. So those are easy to do. They probably won't be as frequent just because I'm
Take
gonna
a break.
try to find other things to do.
Sure.
But yeah, those will still be coming out for sure.
Well,
I
that's
also
good.
have a sketchbook that I've been working on, not like drawing, but past sketchbooks or whatever, like a PDF kind of thing that I'm
Mm.
putting together for my patrons.
Oh, cool.
I'll continue to do that as well. This is probably a good time to do it because,
Yeah.
again, I don't really need much fine use of my hands for that. Things like that. Probably business stuff, balancing my checkbook,
Yeah.
boring stuff.
Hey, it's
You know?
important though.
Yeah. So I
Cool.
definitely find things to do, just not much that I've been able to share, here. So
Right. Fair enough.
yeah.
And I already kind of said what I'm going to be trying to do the next week and beyond. I do my schedule with conventions and stuff, and the next 2 weeks should lighten up a little bit. And then I have one in August and one in November that are both huge trips. But I plan on getting, I think I've said this before, of getting the issue 3 done by December.
Nice.
And I still believe I could hit that deadline, even with all the stuff I have going on.
Mhm.
But instead of being a steady, which is the opposite of what the 100 Days of Comics teaches us, but I just know the situation I'm in. And rather than like, well, I've got a few hours here and a page this week, and I feel like it's going to be more, I'm barely working on it for the present time and getting prints and other things done that I need for shows. And then I'm going to hit a certain point when that all settles down and be like banging out a page or 2 a week is what's going to
Sure.
happen. So I don't know if we'll be back by then or not, but that is sort of my long-term plan is to absolutely get it done by the end of the year and hopefully have the Kickstarter going either December or January, basically around the same time I did last year.
Nice. Uh, Speaking of long-term plans, actually, recently I just discovered there's two big conventions in Chicago that I wasn't aware of at all. One
Okay.
of them is new. The other one apparently has been around at least for a few years, and they get some celebrities and stuff, but it's more geared towards comics. So
Sorry, I just hit myself in the face.
that was pretty good. Um, and so I got in touch with the promoters or whatever to ask questions and get feedback about what kind of stuff they allow and all that. So I'm
Right.
actually like seriously considering just trying to get a table soon at those conventions. They're not until 2019, so
Oh,
that
okay.
gives me a little buffer.
Time to
Um,
heal.
Time to heal.
Right.
I'm sure I'll be better this year. I don't see this as being like a permanent thing. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm just optimistic. But
Sure.
at some point I'm going to be able to draw without crazy pain again, and at that point I'm going to do it like a madman, like I always do. So my hope is that by at least in time for those conventions, I'll have Sisyphean Complex done at least an issue, or if not two, and
Mhm.
first issue of Space Cat, because that was supposed to be
That's
my goals for this year. But
right.
seeing as how this has really pushed things back quite a bit, I don't
Mhm.
want to overwhelm myself with stuff that I know that I can't accomplish in the time that I have left. So I'm just
Hey,
pushing it back.
if you have all that stuff done by next year, that's still pretty good. I
Yeah,
mean,
it'll be
that's
good.
still pretty good. Yeah.
So
Cool. Well, that's cool to hear, and I'd be excited to see you start doing shows and see what your
yeah,
thoughts on them. And
yeah.
I would want to see a video too, for
Oh,
sure.
for sure. Yeah. I just need clarification on this one about whether they even allow art or not, because the way
What's
that
the
they
name of the
worded
show?
it, I don't have it on hand right now, but
Okay.
the wording that they said was that you're only allowed to present stuff that's been published. I don't know where art falls into that category. If they
I mean
just
that.
want you to show books or what, I don't know.
I mean that's weird. I've never heard. Is it a comic
Yeah,
convention or is it
yeah,
something else?
yeah. It's a comic
Because
convention.
usually they have like three basic categories at comic conventions. I mean, there's a million, but there's usually
Sure.
exhibitors who are people
Hmm.
that are selling toys and comic stores that set up and Magic the Gathering and Pops and that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
Then there's Artist Alley, where you sell your original art or prints or fan art or whatever, that kind of stuff. And then there's sort of the middle ground, which is like small press booths selling their own comic. Sometimes they pay for the booth and they have, big banners saying the name of
Right.
some comic you've never heard of, or they're an invited guest, if they're
Yeah.
famous enough and they're selling, Lady Death or something that people know that's independent. That's always my go-to is Lady Death, which I never even really read. So I don't know. I always go to
Pretty
Lady
cool.
Death, but I see it around a lot, I guess is the
Sure.
point. Like, it's in my head. So it sounds like what they're outlining sounds weird to me because some places are like, we don't allow fan art, and that's very rare
Yeah.
because fan art's whatever. But even if they said we don't allow fan art, they would let you have your own stuff that wasn't published, like paintings of dragons or
Right.
things like that. So only published work sounds very strange to me.
Yeah,
Uh,
this is okay, so it's Comic-Con Revolution in
mhm.
Chicago. And what it specifically says is only available to those who uh okay, hang on. Artist alley table.
Oh, maybe.
Merchandise must be published goods, and the
Oh,
creator must
oh,
be present at the table.
okay, that's normal Artist Alley stuff. What
Okay.
that means is if you have buttons or T-shirts, they have
Yeah.
to relate to your comic. Like the
Oh.
way I have the Horror 4, I sell buttons for the Horror 4. I do have some Power Rangers and Godzilla stuff that's based on my art
Hmm.
of Godzilla. So they're definitely not saying you can't have your own art. What they're saying is the artist has to be present, which is a very common one. They don't want somebody
Sure.
else running a booth in Artist
Yeah.
Alley that isn't the artist. So that's normal. The other one might be that they're trying to discourage fan art. It's a little unclear,
Mm.
but the bigger thing is a lot of times they don't want again exhibitors merchandise in Artist Alley. So they're
Okay.
saying you can't sell an X-Men t-shirt at your booth. Maybe if you did the art you can, but that seems like a gray area. But if it's
Yeah.
Space Cat, you should be cool. If it's Sisyphean
Okay.
Complex, you should be fine. I
Cool.
mean, double check with them, but that's what it sounds like to me, having done
Yeah.
a million shows at this point.
Cool. Yeah, I sent him an email yesterday, so hopefully I'll hear back soon. And if
Right.
that's the case, and I can, sell, I'd like to sell some of my fan art, but if I can't, that's fine too. I'll get Space Cat
That
stuff and
I would
prints
say,
and
yeah.
my own
If
stuff.
they're and the fan art thing is weird because I've seen cons that say that and then people sell fan art anyway because
Mm,
the con is just covering their own butt. And I
sure.
don't want to get into the whole legality and morality because everyone
Yeah.
has an opinion. And the reality is, whether it's legal or not, whether it's moral or not, every single show I go to, people are selling fan art and don't get in trouble.
Yeah.
That's just a fact. It doesn't mean it's right, but it's a fact. So there are a select few shows that might enforce it that I haven't been to, and this might be one of them. But there's been no show I've seen that won't let you sell your own art. That's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
that's weird.
Looks like we do have a question for me. You can answer it too, though. Thomas Clemens says, "Hey, Gaz, what's your thoughts on the new Godzilla trailer and flick. Well,
And flick.
I assume you mean the live action legendary one, which I think they're calling King of Monsters.
Mm.
Um, Here's the thing. I have not seen the trailer, which is crazy because I was at Comic-Con Ground Zero when it was happening. So much news that comes out of Comic-Con, when you're at Comic-Con, you don't hear. If you're not in that panel, if you're, like my toy collecting buddy, he knew about those figures I showed before I did because I didn't go to the panel and they put them out after the panel. So the internet found out a few hours before I did.
Wow.
I
It's
wanted to go to
crazy.
the yeah, I wanted to go to the Godzilla panel, but it's in Hall H. And if you know anything about Hall H, you have to camp out the night before. And I'm not willing to give up a day of my life to do that. So I didn't see the trailer there. I know it has since been released online and I could watch it anywhere I want, but I know I'm going to see that movie. So I don't need to see the trailer. If I see it in the theater, I'll see it, but I don't go out of my way to
Mm,
see for a movie I know I'm going to want to see.
yeah,
And I know there's going to be
I'm the
like minor
same.
spoilers. I do know some of the other monsters that are going to be in it, like King Ghidorah and stuff, because I've seen the poster. I am excited for it because I thought the first one was halfway good, and I didn't think the Mutos were very good monsters in the first one, and there wasn't enough Godzilla, and there's too much human stuff. So
Mm.
the new one looks like it's going to have more classic monsters and a lot more monster stuff, and it has Millie Bobby. I'm getting her name wrong, but 11 from Stranger Things is in it, and I
That's
like
cool.
her. So I'm cautiously optimistic. I feel like it can't be that bad. It's got to be better than the last one, and the last one I thought was okay. So that I'm into it. If you're talking about the anime, the Earth Godzilla, I watched the first one and thought it was garbage, so I'm not very excited for the second one. um,
He does say, yeah, the one with 11 in it.
Okay, yeah.
So
I haven't
cool.
seen the trailer, but I've seen a few stills and the poster, and I'll definitely be seeing it. And I can't imagine it won't be better than the last one. Peter said, what did Peter
Nice.
say there?
He said that he had someone message him asking if they could self-publish a comic with Marvel characters.
Well,
Yeah, no.
you know what? There is a slight loophole there though,
Mm.
because they could do it if they didn't charge any money.
Huh.
Because then what are you gonna? They can't sue you
Yeah,
for
I
anything
guess so.
if you just. I mean, they might give you like a cease and desist if you distributed it too much. Maybe it's not a good idea. Don't do it. But full disclosure, I worked on a unofficial DC comic once. Somebody hired me, and it's not out there anywhere that you could see it, but somebody hired me to work on a Booster Gold comic, and I love Booster Gold. But it was it was me and another artist like kind of co doing it. So I did like 11 pages, they did like 11 pages, and it was a parody of How I Met Your Mother. So it was all about Booster Gold meeting his mother, and he's telling his kids in the future, and I'm doing all the flashbacks
Hmm.
scenes. And it's done not a parody. I mean, it's not a parody in the sense it's Booster Gold, it's Blue Beetle, it's all those characters done in the style that DC would do them,
Yeah.
but it was never published proper. I think he made like 10 copies to give to like
Hmm.
the writer and his friend, and it was like what they call a vanity project.
Yeah.
So since it didn't get published and sent anywhere to make money, there's no one's going to get in trouble for that.
Huh.
If, however, he gave me a stack of 100 of them and said sell this at a convention, then we'd probably both be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah. There was a guy in an art group on Facebook that published a Batman book. It was a novel. It wasn't a comic, but it was like about Batman's like sexual exploits when he's not being
Oh,
Batman. And I asked him, like, how in the world, like, no judgments, but how in the
right.
world are you able to sell this? Because he was selling it on Amazon. And he said that it was parody. And so
Mm.
somehow, because it was parody, he was allowed to sell that.
And he
But
might be right, but
maybe.
here's the thing with parody. It's the line, everybody draws that line differently. Like with
Yeah.
transformative art and parody art, and there is a certain amount of protection. And if DC or Warner Brothers, whoever decided to go after them,
Hmm.
they could. Now, the DC might be in the right or wrong legally, but they could win because they have $1 million in lawyers. And if I
Sure.
get sued, I have no lawyer. Maybe I could afford to hire one,
Hmm.
and a lot of times if the company decides to sue, they win just because of overwhelming force.
Yeah.
So if you're on that line, you better make sure you're clearly on the correct side of it, because if there's any room for gray, you're going to get in trouble. Like, and I mean, I do
Hmm.
Godzilla art, which according to the law, I'm probably not supposed to do. But again, everybody does it.
Hmm.
If I ever got in trouble and Toho attacked me, I'd probably be like, okay, you win. Like I wouldn't fight it. I'd just like, all right,
Right.
but I flatter myself that I'm safer. Well, I don't know if flatter is the right word. I delude myself that I'm safer than someone doing Spider-Man because Marvel is in America and they're checking everything. Toho barely puts stuff out here. It's hard to find Godzilla stuff. So
Yeah.
I'm putting out stuff because it's hard to find and I don't make a ton of money. If I feel like either Toho would have to have a bigger presence in the United States, or would have to be much more successful for them to care about me. And if
Sure.
either of those things happen, I'll be happy. You know?
It's a
So
win-win. Yeah.
yeah, so that's fine.
That's
uh,
a good point.
uh, Corey says, I tried to watch the anime and couldn't make it past the first few episodes. Maybe we're not talking about the same one. There was one that came out in the 90s based on the Matthew Broderick Godzilla show we're talking about. But there was a Netflix, it's a series of movies. And the first one came out,
Oh.
I don't know, 6 months ago, a year ago, whatever. And it's like Godzilla Planet of Monsters, or I'm getting the name a little wrong.
Huh.
That's what I'm talking about. And they have a new movie coming out, but I agree. It was very boring. There was mostly no Godzilla in it until like the last 20 minutes. And it was a lot of people in space whining about politics and, whatever. I mean, if it wasn't a
Sounds
Godzilla
thrilling.
movie, yeah, if it wasn't a Godzilla movie, it might have been an interesting, like, political thing of like the human condition in the future, but it's supposed to be a Godzilla movie. So I was like, I don't care. Where's Godzilla?
And that's on Netflix?
Yeah. The
Like
first
a
movie.
Netflix original or something?
It's billed as a Netflix original, although it might have come out in Japan and they have the,
Oh, okay.
exclusive rights, or it was a co-production or something, because they definitely have it in Japanese and English.
Huh.
So, yeah, I'm guessing they co-financed it or something, because it definitely doesn't look like it was made in America the way it's made.
That's cool. I haven't seen that pop up on mine. I'll have to look for that.
Yeah, I mean, I watched it very recently, so it's still there. But we've gotten really far off track. Yeah, that Corey says that's way too many people talking. Yeah, so that is the one he's talking about, and I agree. And I don't like the design of Godzilla either. Even when they finally get to it, I'm like, this, I don't love the legendary American design, but it's like a take on Godzilla that isn't my favorite. The Earth one just looks like a big old stone turd. It doesn't
I
even
think
look
I've
like
seen that one.
it doesn't look like a lizard. I'm not into it.
Yeah.
Well, I could talk about Godzilla forever, but I don't think that is the point of this show. So maybe we should start wrapping it up.
Sure. Yeah, how should we wrap this up? I think
We'll say goodbye for now. Again, we're both still going to be on YouTube and around the internet and making art, and you can still find us. But together in this format is ceasing indefinitely. We'll say, if we come back, great. But if we don't, well, we'll still be around.
Yeah, it was fun.
It was fun, and I think it was a worthwhile endeavor. And Josh and Corey
Definitely.
started this thing, and they're continuing even though we are not. And we recommend you check them out, and we recommend you guys try it yourselves. We had extenuating circumstances that are making it not really work out, but it's definitely a cool thing. Go out singing. Okay. Oh, we never did the intro, did we?
Didn't.
All right, we're gonna go out singing.
Go out like that, right?
We're gonna say goodbye. Thanks for watching, and it was so great.
Great. 168
with me and my mate.
Hey,
168. We had a lot on our plate.
We did.
168. 168.
168. Sure.
168. Mel.